All right, we want to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting of the Cedar Rapids School District Board of Education. It's Monday, June 12th, 2017, and with that, we'll call the meeting to order. Somebody like to read the approval of the agenda? Keith? Thanks.
I move that the agenda Monday, June 12, 2017, Board of Education meeting be approved as set forth, and that each item is considered ready for discussion and/or action.
Second?
Second.
And this is a roll call vote.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Director Humbles.
Aye.
Director Jansen.
Aye.
Director Westerkamp.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
President Laverty.
Aye. All right, thank you. And Dr. Buck, we'll turn to you for your report.
Yeah, thank you. So summer break has arrived. Students and teachers closed the books on the 2016-17 school year on June 2nd. The week before, we all celebrated the academic achievements of some 1,060 students with commencement ceremonies for each of our 4 high schools. Commencements were also held for our students from the Homeschool Assistance Program and the Special Services Transition Center. So I'm pleased to again congratulate the class of 2017. Kids on Course University will be starting next week on Monday, June 19th. This number is amazing to me. We have over 850 students registered for this wonderful summer opportunity. That's up, what, probably 300 students from last year? Yeah. The program will be housed at Arthur, Truman, Wright, Taylor, Harrison, and Madison elementary schools. It runs 5 days a week from 8:30 to 1:30 p.m. with students receiving breakfast and lunch each day. The program is focused on reading and math with a great deal of fun included in each day to keep the students focused and improving their skills. The last day of the program will be August 4th. I would encourage our board members to visit the program during the summer and see the great things happening at these sites over the summer. Our summer meals program also begins on June 19th. Sponsored by our Food and Nutrition Department, the program provides free breakfast and/or lunch through August 4th. Children under the age of 18 are eligible and may visit a participating location for meals Monday through Friday, and the serving locations and times can be found on the homepage of our website. More good news. I'm pleased to share that Washington is the top-ranked and Kennedy the second-ranked Iowa high school on the 2017 Washington Post list of America's most challenging high schools. Both schools have qualified for the list since the year 2000. The Washington Post takes the number of advanced placement tests given at a school the previous school year and divides that by the number of seniors who graduated in May or June. We continue to be proud of all of our high schools and look forward to defining additional ways in which they demonstrate their ongoing success. And we also have a terrific honor to share from Garfield Elementary School. Part of the video. Do you want me to talk through the video? All right, very good. This part of the video they used as part of the application process. So we have a terrific honor to share for Garfield Elementary School. Garfield has earned membership to the prestigious No Excuses University Network of Schools. Garfield earned the recognition by demonstrating a commitment to college readiness and through efforts to ensure all children meet standards in reading, writing, and math, no matter their challenges. Ours is the first school in the state of Iowa to receive this designation. Special congratulations to Principal Joy Long and the members of the Garfield Marketing and Message team for their work on the extensive online application that focused on the 6 exceptional systems the school has developed around the No Excuses University model, including a portion of the video that you just saw. So, lots of good news.
That is way cool. I've actually met the founder of that program out of San Diego, and it's amazing the work that they've done with kids. So congratulations to them. Are there any board reports? Any board member reports? All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to communications, delegations, and petitions. And I do not believe we've received any requests to speak before the board tonight. So we'll go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that board members would like to pull for further discussion or questions? Nancy?
I don't want to pull anything, but I see we have some summer agreements, a youth port and another program. I know we have the data tracking system in place to really monitor academic success. Will that be applied to some of these summer programs so we can see how well or the impact they're having within the district?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe likely so. One of the advantages of the data tracking system is we're going to be able to go in and mark which program students participated in. So right now, that's all being done by hand and manual calculations, but going forward, we should be able to go in and click a button that says, this child was in Kids on Course, or this child was in the Boys and Girls Club summer program. So we'll be able to pull out that data set and see if students are making progress relative to other groups. So that's best hope out of that system. And we have those 2 data folks starting July 1st. So
I think for me too, Brad, just one thing with all of this is helping us understand in terms of the outcomes of these programs, is it really academically focused, academic achievement, or is it more of the social emotional, some of those types of supports? So just as we do these 28 E's with the different organizations, really making it clear what the expected outcome is so that we know what we're measuring, so that if we're looking at the academic data services, we know that it's really academics that was the goal of this program versus just social emotional and support over the summer or whatever it is. So I think moving forward, those kinds of things would be helpful to us. Yep. Any other questions, Keith?
I had a point on the art collection, BA 17-011, 10.4, and I talked to Laurel about it. It's a regulation that it just says appraisal, doesn't say anything about qualifications or whatever. And I'll get together with Laurel to spell that out a little bit tighter so that we're assured that we have the right kind of people doing this work.
So art appraisers versus other
Art
types.
should be qualified art appraisers, and there are some designations, some of them have, similar to or equal, but I'll get that language.
Okay, great. Any other questions or concerns in there? All right, seeing none, the consent agenda requires a motion. Would somebody like to move the consent agenda, Keith?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. This is a roll call vote due to the personnel report.
Director Humbles.
Aye.
Director Jansen.
Aye.
Director Westerkamp.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
President Laverty.
Aye. All right, next we'll move on to administration, and I'll turn it over to Steve, and looking forward to our audit committee report.
President Laverty, Dr. Buck, members of the board, we have 3 esteemed guests here today. Tom Hoffman, who is our current chair of the audit committee and has been the chair for a number of years. Barb Harms, a long-serving member of the committee, and our incoming chair, Gary Becker, who will be our chair in the next fiscal period, are here to give you an update on the audit committee. So,
Great.
Hello, welcome. Thank you.
Good to have you all here.
Thank you very much. As Steve mentioned, I am Tom Hoffman, and outgoing chair of the audit committee. Before I turn the mic over to Gary and Barb, I want to recognize a few individuals. Max Miller, one of our former committee members, passed away earlier this year, and he was a role model for Steve, and so we just want to recognize him for his service. And next, I want to thank Barb Harms, who's been on the committee since 2009, and she'll be coming off. So I want to recognize and thank Barb for her efforts. So thanks, Barb, and you will be missed. So Gary and Barb, all yours.
Hello, I'm Gary Becker. Some of the highlights of our committee this year that I'd like to share with the Board of Education is that this year was the beginning of a new 5-year cycle for the auditors. And one of the things our committee did this year was to participate in the preparation and the review of the audit request, the RFP, from the various firms that wanted to be considered for the audit of the school district. The next item for our committee that we worked on was we received an anonymous allegation through the global compliance system that had to do with an inappropriate use of the PEPAL funds. An independent internal investigation concluded that the PEPAL funds were not used inappropriately, and we had a chance to review those highlights or those allegations and with Steve, and he was very good at sharing those with us. And then again, back to the audit. For the first time, and again, following our charter that we have for our committee, 2 audit committee members joined with the manager of accounting and the executive director to evaluate the responses to the audit requests for the proposals that we were received. So thank you very much. Barb.
Thank you. I'm Barb Harms. And the audit RFP process, we had a very strong field of 6 proposals. So I did participate in that review. And we selected RSM LLC, formerly known as McGladrey, to continue as the audit firm for 3 years with the option to renew for an additional 2 years at the board's discretion. The committee also completed our annual self-evaluation survey, and the comments that we received back from our committee members are used to improve our future meetings and make sure that we're continually looking at the things that we're doing on an annual basis. And then finally, just congratulations to the district for 22 consecutive years, earning both the financial awards from both GFOA and ASBO. And having done that work myself in the past, I know kudos to Steve and Sherry and their staff, because it is a huge undertaking. And I did look up for the latest year I could find, only 17 districts in Iowa get that award. So, so we'd be happy to respond to any questions.
There questions from the board about the audit report? I did go through and read the auditor's findings, and it's always amazing the minutia that's in there. But it's reassuring, and I think that for the public that it's terrific that you all from a variety of fields and backgrounds in the community are willing to take your time to help the board in this important work. And it is a community school district, so we recognize these are taxpayer dollars, and it's community's right to know transparency of what we're doing. So thank you so much for that. I would say as well, I know you did an internal review of the committee and things, and Gary, I think as incoming chair, if it would be helpful to have a conversation. I don't know that we've had that conversation as a board with the audit committee and Steve in terms of where the committee is going and things that we can do to improve the committee from the board's perspective. If that would be helpful, I'm certainly open to having that conversation as well. Maybe a couple of us could get together and do that at some point. So, okay. Yep. And is there anything else that stood out in this? Anybody? Gary, you had some questions?
I just have a question. Since basically we're continuing with the same audit firm, will there be a built-in, do they rotate managers, or who will be doing the audit? I know we were well-served, but I know a few years ago I served in the audit committee. There's always some concern that people get too comfortable, and if you have a fresh set of eyes coming in and looking, so.
I'll take a stab at that, and then I'll let Steve provide his comments too. That was certainly part of our consideration, and the audit committee has discussed that in the past, and we have requested rotation of either the in-charge or the assigned partner, and that also tends to happen just on a natural basis with the audit firms. So we were very comfortable with the changeover in staff that has happened, and that they have a regular schedule where they rotate the review partners too. So the audit committee was very comfortable with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Well, again, thank you for all of your work, and thank you, Tom, for chairing this for several years, and Barb for all your work on the committee, and Gary, we're looking forward to great things, and if anything happens, just talk to Steve, right? So, all right, thank you so much. All right, next we'll look at an amended agreement with the Cedar Rapids Community School District and the RSP Associates, and Dr. Buck, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things as you look at that revised calendar for the facilities work. One of the things that we came to realize, if you look at the original chart, there isn't an opportunity for the committee to meet again once the summer ends and before the next sort of report occurs to the board. So one of the things we realized in conversation is that it would be helpful and important to have at least a time or two for the committee to reassemble after the summer, touch base, et cetera. And so one of the things you'll see in that revised calendar is a couple of dates after summer for the committee to meet. And then one of the other things that we had heard informally from the board in terms of feedback was a desire for another opportunity for public feedback as this process unfolded. So what you would also see in the changes to that calendar is another round of opportunity for feedback before a formal presentation occurs to the board. So what that does in terms of timing is it sort of pushes the timeline back a little bit farther, but I think we're still okay. And part of that is the feedback we received from the board at the last presentation is a primary desire to really support the SAVE conversation. And so as long as we have a sense for where we're headed before we jump into that legislative session, we should still be in good shape on that timeline. So those are some highlights to the proposed changes to the agreement.
Any questions for Dr. Buck about those changes? All right, seeing none, this is a voice vote, so all of those in favor of the amended agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Next, we'll move into the Human Resources Report and the work agreement for Superintendent of Schools. Are there any questions about the contract for Dr. Buck for the coming 3 years? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Director Jansen. Aye. Director Westerkamp.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Hubbels.
Aye.
Aye. There was a little hesitation.
There was. I was just the first few beads of sweat were forming on my forehead, but it's okay. It's okay.
All right, next we'll move to the 2017-18 Terms and Conditions of Employment for Daycare and Crossing Guards. And Rod, is there anything with that? No? Are there any questions from the board? All right, seeing none, again, this is a roll call vote.
Director Westerkamp.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Director Humbles. Aye. Director Jansen.
Aye.
President Larry.
Aye. We will take a brief recess at this point, and the board will move into Cedar Room A, Cedar A, for its work session to talk about intercultural development inventory and learn a little bit about what some of our staff are doing with that tool at this time. So we'll take a recess. It'll take about 10 minutes to move in and get settled in Cedar A.
Should we shut?
Actually, I can shut it down.